Damn, look at this. Look at all that blood. That's beautiful. Lots of red, gore, and blood and guts. Hey, Jarek here. I follow a lot of indie devs on Twitter and then wishlist their game on Steam. So there's a lot of cool games that I'm looking forward to. Games like Perish, Vertigo 2, Scathe. Turbo Overkill looks pretty sick. Who doesn't want a chainsaw leg? Sulaco looks awesome. As someone with access to their demo, I want to show it off, but I can't, so I'll just say wait for it to come out. It will be worth it. Compound Fracture is another game that looks awesome. You can always have more dinosaurs in video games. And then of course there is Trepang 2. I know about Trepang 2. I get so many requests to make videos of it, but it's not done. It's not out yet. All we have is a demo. Like, what can I really do? I'm just waiting for the full game to be released. Anyway, that's where this game comes along. Anomalous Materials. Wait. Anomalous. Wait. Anomalous. There we go, that one. Right from the main menu, I knew I was going to enjoy this game. There's that certain feeling of seeing the art at the main menu, hearing some badass music, and knowing you're in for a treat. I had the same experience when I first opened Dread Templar. Also, look at that, there's just so much red. If we've learned anything from this channel, is that red is objectively the best color. There's no way I could be biased, no way at all. You know what else is also awesome? Today's sponsor. Today's sponsor is Geologie. Geologie is a 6-time award-winning men's skincare company. And let's be honest, as men, we don't really take care of our skin like we should. That's why their products are made to be as easy and quick to use as possible. It's also designed with ingredients that have been trusted by dermatologists for decades. Say retinol, kojic acid, and niacinamide. Anyway, not everyone's skin is the same, so you'll take a quick quiz to see what exactly you need. Your routine is incredibly simple, takes very little time. Both of these are just face wash. They want one in the shower and one by the sink, so you don't have to go back and forth. You wake up, you wash your face, you take what they call this Vital Morning Face Cream, you put one dab on each cheek and one on the forehead, and then rub it in. So that's it for when you wake up, and it's the same routine when you go to bed, except for you use this, what they call repairing night cream, and that's it. That's all you gotta do. Now in my case, my needs are a little bit different. As you can see, I'm bald, so I also need to kind of keep my head moisturized. Something a lot of people don't think about is that if you have greasy hair, where is that oil going to go when you shave your head? It's just gonna sit on top of your head. And yes, that's as disgusting as it sounds. You rub your head and then you have oil on your hands. On top of that, a greasy head does not mean your skin is hydrated. This also applies to your face. I know most of you aren't bald. Oftentimes that grease is there because the skin is trying to protect itself. That does not mean your skin is healthy or moisturized. If you use moisturizer on your head, it will be less greasy. So that's been my routine. I wash my head, I shave my head, I put on some moisturizer just so it's not so greasy. I decided to try this stuff out, and this works really well. To clarify, this was made for your face, not your head, but it does work well in the head in my experience. The last one down here is the Nourishing Eye Cream. This is supposed to help reduce the sort of puffiness and the dark circles under your eyes. Something I do really point out though is that if you have dark circles that are genetic and that's actually just the color of your skin, because dark circles are hard to deal with, trust me, I know, this isn't going to change the color of the skin. It's just going to make the skin be more full, more moisturized, and look younger. So if you want to try this stuff out for yourself, go to geologie.com and take their free skincare quiz to get 50% off your first 30-day trial. Or just click that link down below in the video information. Again, that's Geologie. I have typoed this way too much while working on the sponsor, so that's how you spell it. Big thanks to Geologie for sponsoring this channel, and let's get back to the video. Alright, let's start with the graphics. I actually really like how this game looks. There's some pixelated effects like the smoke, there's some low poly models along with some high poly models, and everything just works very nicely together. Nothing stands out as being jarringly out of place. The art style is very cohesive. Enemies are distinct so you can tell them apart from one another, which is very important in a game like this. The gun models are a mix of realistic weaponry to sci-fi tech, and there is a lot of gore. In a game like this, gore is nice. But the best part is the diverse locations you'll go to. You'll go from an Eastern European town to a forest to a sewer to a butchers to some high-tech sci-fi facility. There's just a lot to see in this game, which is really impressive because this is only an early access release without the full content. This is just chapter 1. Right, I probably should have mentioned that earlier. This is an early access game. It's only about 2 to 3 hours long, but it's also only $5. That's actually a lot of content for $5. And like I said, this is just chapter 1. But chapter 1 is very complete. It feels like its own chapter of a final game. You know, the point of early access. And I liked what I saw when I opened the menus right away. There is a bunch of options that you should expect to see, including an FOV slider that is default at 95. Perfect. So for the most part, this is a pretty good PC release of a game based on the Unreal Engine. But I quickly came across two different problems. The first one is that mouse aim feels really off to me. There definitely is some bit of mouse acceleration that I cannot turn off. It probably makes me look like I am absolutely terrible at video games. I promise you, the aim just feels really weird. The next issue I notice is that there is a decent amount of motion blur. It's not an absurd amount, but it's definitely more than I would like, i.e. any at all. I'd rather not have any motion blur ever. Motion blur is terrible and I hate it. At least if we're talking about standard motion blur. Motion blur added into animations is a different thing, that's totally fine. Anyway, the problem here is that motion blur is tied into the post-processing effects. It's one of those games. I don't know why games keep doing this. Please stop doing this. Please make motion blur its own thing so we can turn it off. Anyway, aside from those problems, from the tech side, this game is great. I didn't have any crashes, and it overall looks awesome. And as you would expect from a retro 90s shooter, it ran perfectly fine. I never had any frame rate issues. Next up is the story. Yeah, this is a retro 90s shooter. There's really not much here. Occasionally, you'll hear quips from this speaker monitor thing.
Any citizens alive and unaffected by the outbreak are required to return to your place of work if your place of work remains functional and in an operational state.
Yeah, that's pretty much all you're going to get. The gist of the story is that experiments went wrong and the military got sent in to try to clean everything up. Maybe this should be called Anomalous materials. Anyway, it doesn't matter. It's a 90s retro shooter. You're playing this to shoot stuff, you're playing this for the gameplay. Unless you're one of those people that complain that Doom Eternal sucks because the story wasn't self-aware enough. It's Doom, shut up. Like, we're almost 2 years later and people are still having hot takes about Doom Eternal. So how does the gameplay fare? Well, thankfully pretty good. I should immediately state that it seems to take more out of the original Quake games than, say, what Doom Eternal did. You're not going to be double jumping and air dashing everywhere, you're not going to be doing glory kills to get health back. This is a more traditional 90s FPS. But that said, you still do have a pretty good amount of movement. You move fairly quickly and have a lot of air mobility. This game even has a built-in speedometer. Awesome, I wish every game had that. At face value, something like this seems like a gimmick, but it's actually pretty useful to see how well you're going to be dodging attacks and how fast you're moving. You can take a lot of information from a simple speedometer. Anyway, the movement feels good. The only real upgrade they did to the movement is that if you hold the jump button down, you can kind of clamber up walls. There's no animation for it, which is nice. It keeps it nice and smooth and fast. Overall, movement feels good, which is important because you need to be able to evade attacks. So how are the enemies? For the most part, you can dodge their attacks as their projectiles are pretty easy to see. With that said, they don't telegraph their attacks quite as much as you would expect, so sometimes they catch you off guard. I can kind of complain about the soldier enemies, as their attacks are a lot harder to dodge and they seem to do more damage. But I mean, as they say, get good. The difficulty in this game is actually great, especially since they explain to you what the different difficulty modes do at the main menu before you even start the game. When you hover over that difficulty mode, it will tell you how much damage you're going to do to the enemy and how much damage they'll do to you. There's even a difficulty setting where you will definitely die in one shot. That's awesome. I really wish every game did this. Not the one-shot death mode, just telling you what the difficulties actually mean. Normal really does feel like normal. This is kind of your casual, not too easy, but really not very difficult mode. If you are competent at shooters in any way whatsoever, I would recommend playing on hard. And if you want to keep playing, just keep raising the difficulty modes. So how are the guns? If this is early access, then I would expect a small weapon roster, right? Nope, this just has the whole weapon roster. You have 9 guns in total in this game. And they're pretty much what you would expect. Your starting melee weapon, your dinky pistol that you'll never use once you get better weapons, a simple pump action that ends up getting replaced by your double barrel, your standard assault rifle, a rocket launcher, a grenade launcher, a crossbow, the strongest sniper rifle I have ever seen in my life. It literally insta-gives everything in the game, holy shit. And a pulse rifle. This is definitely just a plasma rifle. So yeah, pretty good weapon roster, pretty good variety. You will always have the tool you need to win that gunfight. With that said, I do have a few complaints. The first one is that you can't quick switch your weapons. Well, you can, but it's not as useful as you think it would be. The reason is because whatever animation you were currently doing needs to finish before you can shoot another gun. Yes, you can cancel the reloading animation for the super shotgun, but you can't shoot the next gun until that reloading animation would have finished. The same applies to the regular shotgun. If you shoot it and then swap a weapon, you have to wait that same duration that it would have taken to pump the shotgun. So while yes, you're canceling the reload, again, you still have to wait for that animation to complete, even if it's not happening there. I would really like to see this changed. Being able to quick swap weapons makes games like this so much more fun. Just being able to chain one gun for the next to add as much damage as you can possibly get, you might be able to break the game that way, and you might have to balance things a little bit different, but I'm not really noticing anything that would quite break this game. Perhaps combinations with the sniper, but still, you could balance that in. But really the main thing is that it feels kind of clunky. If you're not allowed to shoot until that animation is done with the double barrel, at least just force the double barrel to stay on screen and the animation to complete before it swaps to the next weapon. Do buffer that I'm inputting swapping weapons, but it just happens after the animation completes. My preferred solution is still just let me quick swap and shoot the next gun immediately. This would also solve the next problem I have with these weapons. That's that once you get a new gun, it kind of invalidates the old one. The pistol and the assault rifle uses the same ammo, so why would I ever use the dinky pistol, just use the assault rifle? I have to wait for animations to complete, so why would I ever use the base shotgun when the super shotgun is stronger? And to a lesser extent, why would I use the assault rifle if the plasma gun is more or less the same thing, but better? Really, the only reason that it would force me to use that is just if I'm running low on ammo. Being able to quick swap would totally get rid of this problem. I would be allowed to shoot the regular shotgun, then immediately shoot the super shotgun to basically have a tri-shot. This keeps functionality of all guns, even if one is technically the same thing but better. I think this would really add to the whole formula of the game, because the whole formula of the game is pretty much Doom and Quake. You get unleashed into a map, you have to find certain cards to open certain doors, and then at the end of each chapter, you have to fight a boss. We only have chapter 1, so there's only one boss. I won't spoil it, I'll let you get to that on your own. No, those were just suggestions. I do want to clarify, this is a really fun game, and for $5, I 100% recommend this. It is going in an awesome direction. But I do have some complaints. The first complaint I have is that the zombie enemies seem a little busted. Sometimes when you kill them, they basically are still alive, but aren't actually there and won't hurt you, but it's hard to tell if they're alive or not. If this happened like once or twice, I would think it would be a funny one-off thing, but this happens pretty often. The hitboxes also seem to just kind of not align sometimes, and your bullets just go straight through them, even when they are alive. I don't really know what's going on here, but it seems to be only this enemy. Next up is the music. I mean, for starters, the music is awesome. Like, everything about this is just really good. The problem is two different things. One, when you restart the game, it has default audio, and the default audio is really loud. You will have to go into your audio settings and just like click on the bar so it actually does what you want, but that's a minor bug that can easily be fixed. The other bigger issue is that once the music finishes playing, it just kind of stops. It doesn't loop, it's just sort of awkwardly quiet. This is again an easy fix. You can either A, have non-combat music that will turn into combat music when battles come around. This is how most games fix it. Ignoring that you do need to make more music, this is the easier solution. Or you can just sort of have more ambient sounds in the background. For example, this room full of computers could sound like a server room. You know, general computer fan noises, hard drive clicks, stuff like that. But when it's completely quiet and nothing is happening around you, it feels very early access and just incomplete. There's also another interesting issue where enemies will still shoot you after they're dead. I don't mean as they're falling over in an animation, I mean they gibbed and still shot you. Ow. You were dead and still shot me. Die, please. What? Look at how long they shoot at you after they die. This doesn't happen with every single enemy, but it happens frequently enough to where you need to pay attention to enemies you just killed, and that definitely shouldn't happen. I also had an experience where I used a boost pad and accidentally mantled on top of a window, which put me through a wall, which gave me a key card. It sends you high enough, so like... Oh! Never mind, I can just go through it. This will be a neat little bug. The problem is in order to get into this area normally, you would need another key, and if you don't have that key, you're just kind of stuck in here. And since there's no autosaves, if you quick save in here, you basically have to completely restart. So, amusing little bug I found. But there's a bigger problem that actually does affect the game. While the maps aren't huge mazes, they are kind of maze-like, and you do need to find key cards to access different doors. Problem is, there's no map. Why is there no map? Where do I go? This makes the game needlessly more confusing than it should be. You will wander around quite a bit trying to find the door to that keycard, and if you got a map, it would solve the problem right away. The maps aren't terribly huge, it's not like they're really complicated, it's just wandering around trying to find that one door that you walked across earlier and you don't remember where it is. If I was to pick one problem that actually does affect the gameplay in a pretty significant way, it's this one. But that's it. Aside from that map thing, all these problems are pretty minor bugs, things that mostly should just be fixed in simple patches. So in conclusion, would I recommend this game? Absolutely. You're getting 2 to 3 hours of this awesome content for only $5. It's not even on sale, it's just $5. If you like 90s retro shooters, this is a no-brainer. And that should be everything I wanted to say. I want to give a big thanks to everyone that joined me over on Twitch. My Twitch is twitch.tv/JarekTheGamingDragon. If you subscribe, you get to see my videos at least 1 week ahead of time. And of course, I want to thank you for watching this video.